What's going on, Mad Hatters? And boy, is it warm. It is spicy in here. And I'm not talking jalapenos, habaneros. I'm talking some of the lists that we're going to look at today that people are just taking to win some set champs. Yes, we have some blurple, we have some purple steel, but even those purple steel lists are starting to throw in some tech to have a little bit more ability into this, into all the blurple, but also everything else. Meanwhile, we have a new competitor. Green Yellow Dogs has been kicked out of the top 4. Like, crazy, right? Because Green Yellow Dogs is like supposed to be the counter for blurple, but it's been kicked out. And any guesses? Any guesses to what it is? And if you can't, don't worry, because the next slide, we're gonna look at exactly that. So let me get my face out of here and let us move into that next slide. And here you go, ladies and gentlemen, this is the top 5 lists on the right for what is the meta for the past week. And when you look at it, there's a couple big changes. So first off, hang on, there we go. First off, look at the top. The most played deck was Purple Steel, okay? Now, 454 matches to Blurple on 433 matches. And so real quick, on the right is what's been played this last week, and on the left is from 2 weeks ago, all right? That was my last Meta Madness video, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys how things have changed a little bit. And the big one, of course, is Purple Steel is at the top of the most played, and really surprising, right? Because we look at this, and its worst matchup is Blurple, according to this chart, but Blurple's not the most played deck, right? So now your worst matchup might not be so bad. And a lot of these set champs, you can kind of figure out, is there a lot of Blurple? Because if there's more of everything else except for Blurple, then why not play Purple Steel? It's better into all of those decks. Because when you look at it, 67% win rate into Blue-Green, it's a pretty exciting deck, 50%, I mean, across the board, it's just doing really well. So that, I find that really interesting. And then of course it is good against Green Yellow Dogs. Meanwhile, Blurple, really good into Purple Steel, but then it falls off really hard against aggro, which aggro is always, that Amber Steel aggro is always extremely popular at the set champs level. So playing Blurple can be pretty dangerous, and we're looking at a 45% win rate there. So, but you look at it, they still 57% win rate overall compared to the last video that we did. So Amber Steel sitting at 50%, but Blue Green has dropped to 49% win rate. Again, when Purple Steel becomes the most popular played deck at the set champs level, then it's Blue Green's just not going to do as well. Unless you're running a list that is running, you know, it's got to be running something. You can run the Basil Shift line that helps you discard things. Shout out to Two Changs, who's really big on the Basil Shift line with the chip, so you can discard their docks and things like that. They can't Cobra you anymore. And then also, you could try running Stop Chaos in its tracks, which is pretty good into Purple Steel. But if you're not on those, then it's not going to work out really well for you. But with that being said, really good into Blue Steel and Amber Steel, just not a lot of matches there. And then finally, Green Yellow Dogs kicked out, and I find that interesting. We got Blue Steel taking 96 matches, 50% win rate, but doing really well against Blurple, so that's a really good sign for the deck. And then, of course, Blue Steel is just a really powerful deck against Amber Steel. Like, I personally think that Blue Steel is the counter deck for Amber Steel over Purple Steel. It just has so many threats, as well as running the Tinkerbell, and it can get to those high-cost cards really easily. It still runs Calhoun, and just, it does a lot of things really well against Amber Steel. Of course, Blue Steel, though, 27% win rate into Blue-Green, not too good there. But yeah, really interesting. And you could see that happening, because if Blue Steel's on the rise, then Blue Steel's going to be really good against Green, the Dogs list as well. So it's going to kick that out. Then you still got Purple Steel on the rise, so that's going to kick out Dogs as well. So we're really seeing how Purple Steel is in a good place. When you looked at DLC Bologna, there was 3 in Top Cut. The one to make it to finals against Blurple really did well. Like, he won maybe 2 misplays, but to be on the draw and almost win the thing with a deck that's supposed to be countered by Blurple, Purple Steel has a way to beat everything because it has good draw, it has reach, it has everything it needs to do really well. So definitely a strong contender. If you've been in your last weeks of set champs next week, or you're going to DLC Milwaukee, Purple Steel might be the deck to actually take. But let's look at lists. That's what we're here for, and that's what we want to see. So let's jump into it. And first off, we have Lane Schaefer, and this young man took his set champs by storm. His mom posted these amazing pictures of him on there, and 3 cheers for Lane because he went and dominated, took first place with his Amber Steel list. And looking at it, this is, you know, all the Amber Steel lists are going to look relatively similar to Truby Tuesdays by Sky. This one opting to run 3 Lawrences. So it looks like we swapped the Lawrences for the Lilos, and then also went to 4 on the pennies, and just doing what Amber Steel wants to do. You aggro out all the Blurple players, you have your Troubadour and Strength of a Raging Fire and Tianas to beat the Purple Steel players, Pete and Lawrence to counter the Blue-Green really well. It's just a menace of a deck, it really is, you know. And so Lane took it, dominated, kicked butt, and took himself home a mat that's, you know, almost as tall as he is, it looks like. So really good job, Lane. Really proud of you. Crocs with socks. All right, we'll talk to your mom about that one. But other than that, Lane, really good job. And I'm sure you're getting a lot of love on Facebook, as you should, because yeah, 8 years old and winning a set champs is absolutely magnificent. Really proud of you. Really good job. Moving on though, we've got my buddy Vince taking first place with his version of Baja Blast. And again, I always love seeing Vince win. He's a local in our area. He's a really great judge as well. He judges a lot of the events even, and so he just does really good with doing it, and just I'd say a pillar of the community. And I love seeing him win because he is a great guy, but also when he does win, something I respect so much is that he doesn't go hard to the paint anymore after he wins. After he wins his mat that he frames and puts up on his wall, he then takes jank decks. Like, he just puts something together the night before and says, I'm gonna run this and have some fun. And he goes to just like play with people and get top cut, and then just leave after getting top cut, or hangs out with people. And he's a really good guy, really respects the community. And I'm always happy to see him get his mat. It's always pretty awesome. With his list though, we're running the 2 Radigans. Huge fan of Radigan. I personally like 1, but you almost always ink it. So if you have a second, then it feels really good. Just an awesome card in the mirror, awesome card into Blurple. And then I really like it into Purple Steel also, because you can spend so much time against Purple Steel fighting the board and trying to defend the board, and then you need a way to catch up, and Radigan questing for 4 is a great way of doing that. And then the other thing about Radigan is he can sing Under the Sea on his own, and that is pretty massive, especially in the mirror when you need something to live. So you can play Radigan, it lives, then the next turn you hard cast Heads Held High, and then you play and use Under the Sea singing with Radigan, and that's how you can get back into the match in that way. So like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Radigan. I think it's just a really great card to include in the deck. Meanwhile, on Pleakley's in this package, so just ramping really hard. That little bit of extra ramp feels really good when you're playing against, or when you're playing Radigans, to make sure that you can actually get that high. No stopped chaos on its tracks, but didn't play against any Purple Steel, so didn't really need it. It was a smaller set champs, only 10 I believe showed up at this one. We had 3 in the local area, so people kind of spread out. Amber Steel, green purple evasives, Blurple, and then green blue mirror in finals. But again, really good job, Vince. Really proud of you. Next up, we've got, if it would go, there we go. We've got Illuminteers Ohana taking top 4 with their Purple Steel list, and another Purple Steel list with a couple of spicy things going on here. We've got, first off, we've got Diggy Diggy Hole going on. We got the 4 Happies, 3 Docks, which is a little different, and then the 2 7 Dwarfs Mine. And if you guys remember my last video, I Am Sec was on the Diggy Diggy Hole package in his Amber Steel list. But other things going on in this list, running the Benja, which I'm sure if you look at round 2 when he was against the Green Steel, Benja was probably an MVP in that match to take out that Chromacon. Purple Steel can struggle against that Chromacon because it can just bounce so many things. If they find Doc plus their Chromacon, it can be a really tough time. Meanwhile, running the Lilos, I think Lilo's just a phenomenal card. My first set champs experience yesterday, I just kind of forgot Lilo was a card and lost Purple Steel because of it. So spicy card to add in there. And then also running Scar and restoring the crown. And restoring the crown, of course, is a 6-cost uninkable. Exert all opposing characters. Whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge this turn, gain 2 lore. So you could play that, and if you have Calhoun down, all of a sudden you gain 4 lore from banishing something with Calhoun, which feels really, really, really nice. And then meanwhile, Scar just drawing you a bunch of cards and giving you challenge, that +1 challenge with the Madam Mim, possibly getting +2 challenge on everything. As far as allies, Genie, okay, Genie's an ally. Diablo's an ally, interesting, and Doc, okay, so we've got a couple. We've got Diablo, Happy, Doc, Genie. So and Genie, both Genies and Iago. So we do have a lot of allies. So a lot of good ways to get extra strength from Scar to get that draw power from Scar. And that would explain why there's only the 3 Docs over 4 Docs, because you're running that extra high cost on inkables with the Scar, but also the draw power there. So really like the list. This list definitely able to go a little bit harder into Blurple, I'd imagine, but unfortunately in his top 8 went against Amber Steel on the draw, which isn't necessarily an awful matchup when you're still running Calhouns and Lilos and things like that, but if they just see it, they just see it, and that's kind of the end of the discussion. We all know how it is, but really good job, man. Congratulations. Next up, we've got Stitchhawks taking a back-to-back win in set champs with his version of Amber Steel, going with the 3-liner on this one. And when we look at it, some of the options is we're running the Jim Deere and the Sven. And I've been a massive fan of Jim Deere lately. I've been running a list that opts to cut the Shift Rhino package completely, runs Jim Deere, the Bolt, and Pluto, and you just go hard to the paint, super aggro. But in this list, still running the Rhino Shift package. Sven, just an MVP. It does a lot of the same things Pluto does in protecting characters and things like that. Can also be used offensively if you need to. And then also running Lawrence's. Again, Lawrence really good into green-blue. Challenges really well, and it sings strength. It's a great card, and we saw a lot of lists this weekend on Lawrence's, and replacing the Pete's with Lawrence's worked really well here for I'm assuming Tegan. All right, in Discord we know him as Stitchhawks, but looking at his matchups, this is his day 2 set champs win. Lots of on the draw for 3 rounds of Swiss. Blurple, it's kind of what you want to see. You want to see a whole bunch of Blurple. Unfortunately, lost his 4th game to Blurple on the draw, but still beat the red-purple, probably a Flinger-Dingers type deck, which can be a difficult matchup for Amber Steel. So just a really good job by Tegan, by Stitchhawks, and congratulations, man. Well deserved for sure. I believe Saturday was your first ever time winning a mat. I can't remember for sure, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but either way, congratulations. Next up, we've got Jin Nobody, otherwise known as Daniel, a member of our local community in this area. No. Yes, this was Daniel. Yes, we're going to see another Blue Steel list later that is also a member of our local community. But here, Jin Nobody is Daniel with his spicy version of Blue Steel. And this is a Blue Steel list like none of the other ones we've been seeing. We've been seeing a lot of Blue Steel running like the Lady Clucks and things like that. But this one running cards that some people have probably just never seen played, period. We're talking about you, Monterey Jack, 452 Bodyguard, and also you, lady whose name I can't say, Atatia, 7/7 Quest for 3. All right, like 2 cards that people have probably never seen played ever, anywhere. Maybe Monterey Jack in sealed or draft, but looking at the rest of it, it's doing what Blue Steel wants to do, okay? We got the Jasmine Ally shift package there, trying to get that draw going and everything. We've got the ramp between the Pleakley and the Tipo, as well as the sail, which you're going to want that much ramp, especially this version with such a high cost top line, to getting to that Tinkerbell, getting to that Hades, the two that are questing for 3 each. Like, you're gonna want that. Opted to cut the Fire the Cannons, you know, just saying I don't really need to go that route, and you don't really necessarily need to. I mean, the list is very compact, very together, that Jasmine guaranteeing you're going to see something almost every single time she quests. Uninkable count pretty low, you're on 7, 8, 9, 10 uninkables as well, and the list just did really well. Unfortunately, losing to Purple Steel in the top cut, I'm not sure. Again, I haven't played any Blue Steel this set, so I don't know how difficult that matchup is, but in Swiss, also losing to Purple Steel on the draw, unfortunately, but beating Dogs twice. And again, this is going to be a matchup that Dogs, Amber Steel are not going to want to see. So yeah, unfortunately, didn't quite get there against the Purple Steel player, but congratulations all the same on getting that 4th place finish. Hope we see you at Safari Zone here, well, on Saturday. Next up, we've got Christian taking his 1st place finish, and I just want to say congratulations to him. In the Discord, link in the description, right? In the description, we have a Crash Out channel, and Christian and I can be pretty popular in there. And Christian's been running a lot of jank decks and decided to finally take something a little bit more streamlined with some Purple Steel, and was able to get that 1st place finish. And there's quite a few things to look at. But before we look at the list, I wanted to look off to the right where we have the matchups. That is a lot of red purple out of nowhere. Like, that is a lot of red purple going on in this local area. So really interesting there. But back to the list. When we look at it, not too much spice, right? We're on the Lilos. Again, Lilo in its own sense can be spicy because we don't see a lot of lists on it, but we do see the Madam Mims. Kind of everybody's on the Madam Mim skater at this point. We've just seen how good it is, how much it changes. You can go Madam Mim on 2 into Calhoun on 3, or vice versa, Calhoun into Madam Mim, and then on turn 4 you can challenge a Tiana and kind of try and take control at that point, especially if you have a Captain Hook down. So if you go Captain Hook into Calhoun, Madam Mim, Captain Hook can take out Tiana on their own. So there's that as well. But looking at the rest of it, Hypnotic Strength, just the one of, and the 2 Fire the Cannons. So both of them accomplishing kind of similar things in a different way. First off, denies Iago, denies the Vanishes in a great way. Fire the Cannons helping stop the Auroras and things like that, but also coming in and helping you stop anything else, like maybe the Blurple stopping the Madam Mim Elephant, but also Fire the Cannons is going to stop the Clarabelle shift and all of those things, maybe the Baymax shift if they're running that line in blue-green. But yeah, just really good job. Really, really proud to see you get there, Christian. Really high on the elephant hate. We're running the 4 genies and the 2 Mr. Smees. But again, with Madam M Skater, those genies and Mr. Smees are going to be also taking out Dumbos and things like that. But also takes out Elsa's if you drop a genie. So lots of really good things going on with the list, and I'm happy to see that you got the win overall, man. Congratulations. Next up, we've got Wood. He has a different name on Discord that we're not going to use for this video, but if you use your imagination, you might be able to figure it out. But he was able to take 3rd place with his version of Blurple, and there is a little bit of spice in this one with They Never Come Back. And we've seen this in a couple lists, but we normally only see 1 copy, but Wood decided to play 3, and again, it is a 3-cost inkable action. Up to 2 chosen characters can't ready at the start of their next turn and draw a card. It can be a pretty devastating card, especially if you have a lot of aggro in your local area. So now they're not going to be able to quest. They're easy to take out. You can set up Madam M Elephant things really well. And then also, though, for more aggro hate, you're running the Ursula. Again, Ursula is the one that exerts a character, and depending on its cost, you can play a song equal or less than that character's cost. I actually saw for the first time ever at locals the other day, someone actually used Ursula and was able to sing Into the Unknown. They used Ursula to exert a Clarabelle, the big Clarabelle, 7 cost Clarabelle, and sang Into the Unknown with it as well. So really, really rough for that green-blue player. But overall, list looking really good. 2 hypnotic strengths, the 3 develops. Those develops going to be good, increasing your chance to getting into that turn 2 ramp. All right. Shout out to Frank Karsten for doing that math, showing us that just keeping 1 develop your brain and your altar is going to increase ever so slightly your odds of seeing a turn 2 ramp. So we have that option there. And then also the 3 never come backs is really, really spicy as well. Good job, Wood. Really, really happy for you. Took 2 third-place finishes this weekend, I believe, if I remember correctly. It might have been this weekend and last weekend, but you can let me know. Next up, we've got Alumispark, and taking 5th with green purple. And green purple, the only green purple we've been seeing lately is Brainiacs, all right, from Dave and Lorcana Justice over on Twitter. And this, though, taking us back a little bit to green purple tempo, but with this one opting to run the Clarabelle shift package. But meanwhile, we still have the Emerald Chromicon, which is really good against Blurple. So that's going to be doing a lot. Diablo helping you answer genies, Bonsai for the aggro line, the Go-Go to Magos helping you close out games. Of course, the lever package, which we saw so much, it put in so much work last set, so why not put in some work this set? I do find the 4 Under the Seas interesting. That's a lot of high cost uninkable that you're relying on when I don't feel like this deck is gonna suffer that hard against aggro. So I would be curious about how, if you would take that number down or just remove them completely when you're running something like Diablo, Bonsai, Louis, and even the 4 cost inkable genie, as well as Elsa and Belle. You have a lot of answers for aggro. So I would be curious. I'm sure other people would be curious too. If you made any changes, would it be Under the Sea where you would start? But overall, happy to see some spice. I love seeing spice more than anything else when it comes to these videos, just because it's exciting. Though everything in the video is exciting because I love celebrating wins with people, but I just love seeing people create their own majestic thing, and I think that's really exciting for people. But really good job, Alumispark. Really proud of you, and keep it going. And then next up, we have Knothead. And I do remember Knothead saying this was their first Set Champs victory in what was a bigger Set Champs event, all right? So we had 5 rounds of Swiss where he got to draw into 2 of them. And then into top 8, he kind of had what you want to see is purple steel. Top 8, he had amber steel, and then finals, he had amber steel as well. Unfortunately, the one blurple in top 4, but he was able to get there, and yeah, it was kind of just a what looks like a good day for him. I was sure, you know, being purple steel, you'd rather see more green blues, but all the same, lots on the draw into finals never feels good, but still managing to get there. And when we look at the list, we're on the Lilo package, which is really exciting. Also, what's really interesting, instead of running the 4 Dumbos, we're on 3 Dumbos and 1 Dolores. Is it because you could not get a 4th Dumbo, or did you just find the 1 Dolores was just the magic number? Let us know. But meanwhile, we're on 4 bells. You see a lot of these purple steel lists going to 2 bells, finding that number to be more ideal, but not going that route, instead sticking to 4. So overall, list being really tight, doing what purple steel wants to do. We've got the 3 Jafars and the 4 Genies, so a lot of evasive hate there with the Madame Mim Skater. So, and then of course the Lilos as well. 3 Lilos in this list, and then 2 Roses. The Roses being a card that, you know, a lot of people have decided to cut and go a slightly different direction and lose that reach, meaning that one lore just not being quite worth it, not needing it quite as much to kind of tempo things out in different directions. But really good job and congratulations. And then next up, we've got Zooglez, otherwise known as Kyle in our local scene, taking 4th place with his, or top 4 at least, with his version of Blue Steel. And this is a spicy blue steel list, because I don't know if you can see it, but we've got Huey, Dewey, and Louie going on here, the ducks. All right, we got the triple package, the triple threat package with some ducks, and boy, were people surprised. All right, these ducks were really throwing people for some curves. They weren't expecting them, and they're not bad cards. You got Dewey and Louie both questing for 2. There, if you get, you can get those packages going to draw a bunch of cards. So you have a draw package there. That draw package is, of course, going to support Jasmine, which is really nice, being able to discard a card and then challenge into other players, or challenge into other characters with that 3/7. And then, of course, whenever you discard a card, she gets +3 challenger. And then also going heavy into the Jasmine shift package. And that Jasmine shift package, of course, just letting you get things going, drawing cards. When you have all these allies, including all the ducks, you're going to draw something every time. And what is interesting is I think almost every card in this, you're never gonna, I can't imagine you ever miss with Jasmine in this list. You could, where there's a will, there's a way, but I think it's gonna be really hard to do. Meanwhile, we're on quite the package hate of actions, or ways to just kill spells. We got 3 Fire the Cannons, 3 Smash, and 4 Strength of a Raging Fires. Like, that is quite a lot of kill spells that you don't see anymore, because people aren't really running Smash in anything. So the Smash coming in really nicely to help clean things up that maybe you don't have time to answer yet, or maybe you just go Jasmine, shift package Jasmine turn 2, and then turn 3, you're questing with Jasmine, but you really need to answer something immediately, so smash it. Take it out of there. Smash is also just an easy answer to Dumbo, so they don't get that draw power. And then as that Smash kind of holds you over until you can get to your 5-cost Jasmine, your 7-cost Hades, your 7-cost Vincenzo Santorini. All right, so lots of different options, but of course we still have Genie as well, just another great evasive answer. And then Huey, Louie, and Dewey, just lots of support, lots of extra damage going on there. And we saw those ducks, or I'd look over occasionally, I'd see those ducks just putting in work, putting in a crazy amount of work that people just weren't expecting. And he did really well, losing what I heard was an extremely close best of 3 in top 4 against Blurple that really came down to the wire. So really proud of you, man. Really good showing. I hope, I know you can't play on Saturday, but I hope Sunday goes really well for you. And I think that, no, we've got a few more. I think we've got 4 more. So first up, we've got Fiend, and Fiend took 2 first place finishes, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, with 2 different lists. So that's really cool. The first one, of course, we have dogs, our only dogs list of the video, running that Scrump and Under the Sea package, that colorless kind of really put into motion and just doing what dogs does, right? We're spamming the board with a whole bunch of characters. We're on 4, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 4 is 28 1-drops. I mean, right? God, I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right. So we got 28 1-drops going on here. So setting up that 7-cost Tramp really well to get to that Under the Sea really well. And then meanwhile, we've got the Go-Go to help finish, the Ursula to clear out your opponent's Under the Sea, or Strength of a Raging Fire, things like that. So just doing really nasty things and doing what dogs does. There's not much more to say about it than that. There is the fact that he opted to go down to 2 ladies. So there is that. A lot of these decks are on 4 now, because especially when you run 28 1-drops, ladies just always going to get you 2 more characters. So other than that, not a lot to say. Really good showing. Really, yeah. Really good showing with a clean list. And then your next list that you took first place with was Blurple. And this is a Blurple list. This is Toolbox Blurple, like we haven't seen in a while, ever. And taking first place with it. And look at this. Look at all these one-ofs. We got one of Ursula, one of Baymax, Camilo Madrigal that we haven't seen for a minute. I think Jason in my last week video was running Camilo, but then we've got one of Elsa, one of Magical Maneuvers, and one of One Jump Ahead. And I think the One Jump Ahead is worth talking about. Again, big shout out to Frank Karsten, who kind of showed us that if you run the one of One Jump, the 4 T-pos and the 4 sails, and you alter 7, you have a 95% chance of finding turn 2 ramp. And I don't know. I kind of agree with Frank. I think that I think that's worth it, because again, if you don't see turn 2 ramp, you kind of just lose. Like that's the end of the discussion. If you don't see turn 2 ramp with blue green or blurple, that your chance of winning is dropped to like 5%, if even that. So I like it. I like that idea a lot. But looking at the rest of it, it's, you know, the thing about Toolbox is if you're running all these one-ofs, your opponent can never really guess what you're going to play. They can never predict or kind of be like, all right, so I know that they're going to the turn 5, and so they can play a 6 drop, so they're definitely going to play TikToks. Nope, Camillo. And then you do that, or whatever, like whatever. Maybe they do play the TikTok, and then Camillo's later on, or Baymax is later on, and no one really runs Baymax, so you stop them from at 18 lore, but then they have what they need with the Baymax to be able to get that victory. So yeah, we look at it, like there is advantages to running Toolbox. I think it's a very particular playstyle for those that like that playstyle. But the list just doing really well. Took him to a first place finish, so he knew what was going on. And down there in Charleston, really great area. I love Charleston, but lots of history. But really good job, Fiend. I'm really happy for you, and I'm glad that it went so well this weekend. Really awesome showing. And then next up, we've got DPU777, otherwise known as Raleigh, the vanquisher of foes, with his Amber Steel win in a pretty big event. All right, so 5 rounds of Swiss with 3 rounds in Top Cut, and on his Amber Steel list, looking at it, one of the spicy things is only 3 daisies. You crazy man. Did you not know that you have to run 4 daisies? No one. Anyways, you figured it out all the same with your 3 daisies taking that victory. And looking at your matchups, kind of a crazy day. You got blue yellow, which not something we've seen a lot of lately. It is pretty popular on Dreamborn right now, right? The one gentleman took 2 first place finishes, but then blue yellow again in Top Cut, so they made it all the way, and then green blue with a 2-0 finish, and then finals against blurple. So really good showing. Looks like you finished first in Swiss to be able to have all those on the plays in finals. And then looking at the list overall, going heavy into the Lilo package. Lilo package really good with that Mulan. Just kind of promising that character. So now you go Aurora plus Mulan and Daisy on turn 2, or Mulan or 3. You could go 3 1-drops, right? Or you could just something like Aurora into Mulan, Daisy fire the cannons, and then you play Tiana on turn 3, and then turn 4 you can bring that Lilo back safe and sound behind Tiana. So pretty good line going in there, where you might feel really weird about spamming all these 1-drops down, but it doesn't quite feel like that because you have the Lilo that you can bring back and get that 2-quester that way. Another spicy thing going on with the list, though, is we are running the Jafar. So really interesting choice, and it's gonna catch people off. Like they probably won't expect it, because that Jafar coming down, I'd be curious how much you did end up playing it, maybe against you probably played it quite a bit into these kind of matchups. But again, if your opponent thinks they're safe to do something, then they quest with something because they think it's safe to do so. You play that Jafar, and now they lost that character they really needed, because they thought they were safe to get that 1 or 2 lore. So another spicy inclusion that could do really well for you overall. And still, questing for 2 still lives against green blue, so why not, right? It did really well for you. And then of course in this list, running Calhoun's, one that we're not seeing a lot of. We're seeing a lot more that Truby Tuesday, right, from Sky, and instead running the Calhoun that just kind of guarantees I don't need strength in Troubadour. I can just run Calhoun, and now you can't do anything anyways. So another really good option there. So with Calhoun, on inkable counts, we're on 3, 6, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 uninkable. So you have to be a little bit more cautious with your altar, but again, not really, when most of what you're playing costs nothing anyways. So I think you can still alter super aggressively to get those lines you really want, like Aurora into Tiana, Aurora 3 1-drops, things like that, 4 1-drops, whatever it may be. But really good job, Raleigh. Really happy to see you go on and get that champion mat. But ladies and gentlemen, I believe that really is the last one, and it is. So again, just huge shout out to everyone. I'm going back here to our boy Lane, just absolutely slaying it. Really proud of you, man. Really happy that you were able to do that. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is this video. We're gonna do one more. I know Set Champs is almost over, but that's fine. We're gonna do one last video for next week's Set Champ. So if you want to be featured, send me your list. I'd love to talk about it. Love to kind of show you off and let the world know that you're a winner in some way or another. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have. Remember, nothing is more important than staying happy and healthy. I'll see you around.